Welcome to Lindamood-Bell Radio. I'm Dave Hungerford. Lindamood-Bell helps students catch up and thrive in reading, comprehension, and math, no matter their age or ability. Our evidence-based instruction is one-to-one, tailored to the unique needs of each student. Contact us to get started. We can make the difference of a lifetime for your student. Lindamood-Bell.com or call us 800-300-1818. Today's episode is a conversation I had with Sarah Kodinsky, the CEO of Apex Social Group. Apex is a provider of childcare services that caters to families with children of varying abilities. Here's our conversation. Well, today I'm with Sarah Kodinsky from the Apex Social Group. Sarah, welcome to Lindamood-Bell Radio.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I've looked into your group a little bit, and it seems like you provide a wide range of services for families. I'm very interested in hearing about that. Tell me about Apex, if you would.
Sure, I'd love to. So, since 2008, Apex Social Group has been serving families across the United States and Australia, really empowering them with a unique, one-of-a-kind live-in childcare solution. And we primarily serve families who have unique and special needs. And so we are able to really fill roles in their family that empower their children with full-time care from a caregiver who has a specific skill set or training to, really be able to help their child reach their full potential.
You have what you would consider kind of the typical family that searches for your services?
Yeah, so the typical family is, has, anywhere from one to multiple children, but really is in need of a full-time caregiver to come in and be an extra adult in the home, right? An extra pair of hands, whether they're dual working parents or just have a lot of needs to juggle between multiple children, some extra special needs, which, require extra attention. And so the typical family is, looking for that full-time childcare solution and has the opportunity to have someone live with them in their home and provide that flexible day in and day out extra pair of hands that really is able to partner with the parents.
That's quite a close attachment, it sounds like. How do you find your in-home staff members? Where do they come from?
Right. So we have, for a long time, been partnering with schools across Germany and Austria. And why Germany and Austria? Our founder is actually German, and she was an expat who came to the U.S. many years ago, about 20 years ago, when she came in her financial services role to work in Newport Beach. And then she eventually started a family here and needed care. And so she reached back to her network in Germany and found a pediatric nurse who could come. And really the solution she was able to find was to use a J-1 visa to be able to bring over this pediatric nurse who then could live with her family, bring the German language and culture in, which was so important to her, but probably most importantly, be someone who she knew she could rely on while she was away at work to provide excellent care to her newborn. And then eventually she had a second, just to be able to fill all the gaps. But that's where we started. And so we have started partnerships over the past 16 years with all the major schools in Germany, about 400 of them, who are training up occupational therapists, speech therapists, educators, special educators, and nurses. And, really fantastic schools, amazing teachers. They invite us into their classrooms every year to be able to speak to the students and give them the opportunity to get outside of their comfort zone, go abroad, and expand their knowledge in their field by working with one-on-one for a year with a child who has extra developmental needs and really partnering with their whole care team and their family. It's a win-win. It's really allowing that caregiver from Europe to expand their knowledge in their field and add to their career development, and really for a family, finding somebody who's committed to your family, who really loves your child the way that you do and has the understanding of their needs, is a huge win. So,
yeah, I noticed that many of them, the caregivers, seem to be accredited and licensed in a lot of variety of different therapeutic practices.
So they have a degree from their home country. And so their degrees are in a lot of the fields I just mentioned: occupational, physical therapy, speech therapy. However, they're not recognized in their degree here. And so they're not going into the home to be the occupational therapist, but they're going into the home to provide, the daily activities of daily living, support, the childcare that this child needs. And we call them the nucleus of the child's care team, because they're really going with the child to, multiple therapy appointments throughout the week or tutoring sessions, and can pull that through to their daily life so that they can continue to work on whatever they're working on with their American therapy team at home. When they're putting them to bed or feeding them dinner, they can really pull that through. And what we've really heard from families and from the child's therapy teams is that, wow, this really propels the child forward. It gives them that extra support that they need to have consistency, and pull it through their whole, daily life.
And making that kind of connection and that meshing must be quite a challenge. How do you, what's the process that you do as the administration to kind of get those families and the caregivers, make sure they're a right match?
Absolutely, right. This is a big part of where we come in, and as the experts can guide families. Looking for the right care for your family is a very personal process and can be very emotional at the same time and time consuming. And so we really try to hone in on what intake we need to know to be able to help the family identify just the right caregiver on their side. And then as far as our candidates, we have several points of, screening that we perform on them. Of course, the basics, reference checks, background checks, and all of that. We also use a well-regarded personality assessment, and it's called the Dr. Hartman Color Code Personality Assessment, because, we're matching a caregiver to live with a family, not just to work for a family. And so
it's like you're auditioning for a part in the family.
Yeah, it has to be a good personality fit as well as a skill set fit. So this color code assessment really, it goes back to core motivations, and it helps them understand one another. And so when the family takes the test, the caregivers take the test, they're able to see, hey, what would be a good fit? How can we work together best? And so that's been helpful as well. We have a pretty hands-on and personalized matching process. Our matching experts know our candidates very well. They speak with them personally, so they can recommend them to a family to say, hey, I know your child has cerebral palsy. I have this physical therapist from Germany who, is also really into dogs, and you have a dog. And so, kind of helping them match on all levels.
So at any one point, how many of these families are you engaged with? Like currently, how many families are
right? So
the group?
Hundreds. We have, at any time, a couple hundred that we're serving across the U.S. And we are because we bring our caregivers on a visa, they're here for a 1-year commitment up to 2 years. And so we're consistently recruiting for our families as well, where they have that trusted partner for 1 to 2 years, and then they're going to start looking again for the next placement. So we're consistently, kind of guiding them through that process of finding the next great talent. So that's really what we feel our superpower is really being a talent organization that attracts a strong pool of educated caregivers who see the opportunity for themselves in working with us, because we have built out a program that is educational for them as well.
I think you said you started in 2008. When did you personally come on board?
So I've been working with Apex for about 11 years. So I've been here since about 2012.
If I can ask, what was your journey to get there?
Yeah, sure. So I've always been in the cultural exchange and education field. And so I have worked with different exchange organizations prior. And when I found Apex, I was just really wowed by our mission to serve this specific niche of, families with special needs, and then also the caregivers who have an extra skill set. But my heart has always been in cultural exchange. I love I love that. I studied Europe in school and in college. I went and lived in Europe for a year after. And so really love that aspect too, that we're able to bring worlds together and bring that cultural exchange into the home for so many families.
Is this a fairly unique situation that Apex is in?
It really is. We are designated by the U.S. Department of State as a J-1 visa au pair sponsor. And so we do have a connection to that segment of au pair childcare, which we definitely have a different take on how we recruit. And so our candidates have a higher base of education, typically. They're a little older. And so for that reason, we refer to them as care professionals. This is really a step in their career to come abroad and work with children with special needs. And then we also are members of the Association of Premier Nanny Agencies, where we relate to that model of in-home care, professional nannies. We're somewhere in the middle there. So we're kind of have created our own category of professionalized but live-in cultural exchange care.
And where are you based?
So our organization is based in California. That's where the founder is. And but we serve all across the U.S. And so we're actually a fully remote team. We have team members across the U.S. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Great. And where are your families? Are they clustered in particular areas, California?
They are. We have key markets we serve. So East Coast, we have Boston, a group in Boston, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Philadelphia, the greater DC area is very popular, Atlanta, Miami, Southern Florida. And then we have families scattered across the middle of America, but our key markets then again are Chicago, Seattle, and down the West Coast, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego.
Did I hear you mention Australia as well?
We do. We have a program in Australia, and it is very popular among our candidates. And so it's actually, we send our alumni to Australia to work with our families there. It's kind of really interesting. They can come and work here for 2 years, then be able to go to Australia and expand their cultural knowledge even further and work with families there.
I would imagine another complete set of regulations and rules there.
It sure is, yes.
Sensing quite a bit of HR expertise and technology you must be adept at.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that we'd be interested in hearing about, we have a lot of families and teachers that listen to our podcast that would be very interested in hearing the stories of some of the individual families that maybe you could share with us, you're familiar with.
So, we have served families with a whole array of different needs, developmental delays, ADHD, and dyslexia, as even some rare diseases that we serve. Rett's, we have families with Rett syndrome, families dealing with, genetic disorders, all kinds of things. It's actually, it's super rewarding to see the impact that the caregivers are able to make on the families and especially on the children. So, I remember one family in California, they had 3 children, one with dyslexia, and we were able to place a caregiver from Germany who had a degree in special education, and she herself had dyslexia, which was a really special connection for her to be able to go in, work with a child, school-age child who she could, really pass on some best practices, knowledge, helping her to grow in that area, but also relate on a personal level and be a big sister who has struggled with the same thing. That was a really amazing connection to see. And then, we about 40% of our families have a child on the spectrum, and that is a really important population that we serve. And so our occupational therapists who go into those homes, we also have just special education teachers who go in, are really able to partner with the families. And I'm thinking of one family in Florida that has 2 care professionals that works with their child and is able to really bring home the, kind of on shifts, rotating, but really have consistency, that one-on-one support and encouragement, and see him really be able to thrive with consistency, because that is such an important thing for children on the spectrum. And then somebody who can really be consistently working on the behavior goals and the learning goals as well, and be able to see that improve. What we've heard from families who've worked with some of these candidates is, wow, I really get to be a parent again. When I come from work, I don't have to come home and focus on the therapy homework, and really, I get to come home and snuggle and laugh and be the parent, because I know that part is covered. I know that, she's taking care of it. We have an amazing contest every year, and where families can nominate their caregiver for the care professional of the year. And those stories are just, all of us who are on the judging committee are just bawling our eyes out, right? It's so special. So the one that was the winner this past year, the family said what was so special about her is that she had a phrase that she always said from day one. She said, her name's Paula, and she would always say, I can do it. I love it. And she came into a home where, there's multiple children. There's a lot going on in these homes. There's sports, there's therapies, there's, doctor's appointments, homework, all of the transitions that can be difficult for children with, neurotypical children, as well as children with developmental delays. And so, sometimes it can feel a little chaotic. And this family just expressed, wow, Paula's attitude means everything. She takes it on and says, I've got it. I can do it. And not only can I do it, I love it. And I think that really communicates to me the heart of what means the most to our families, is finding somebody who has a heart for your children, who doesn't just go through the motions and check in and check out, but just really loves your child. And we had one more story up in Boston. We had the care professional was rounding out her program time. She was coming to the end of her year and knew the new care professional was about to come. This child who is on the autism spectrum has a really hard time with change, and so she created a social story. She made a really beautiful presentation for him that walked him through with pictures and helped him connect with, hey, my new care professional, Victoria, she loves the color green, and I do too. And I'm going to, do this with Victoria. She likes that, and I do too. And really helped walk the child through, prepare him for this transition that was coming, getting him excited about it. So that made it easier for the parents to make that change of care over just those things that are so special that our caregivers do all on their own and bring forth, really helping the parents take a deep sigh of relief and say, oh, I have somebody else who cares for my child the way that I do,
That's fantastic. Something you said really resonated with me too, that in the many parents that I've talked to about their child that's come to Lindamood-Bell, as well as my colleagues and friends at work that are parents that have had kids, when we've tried to, parents often say, the school wanted us to do all this at home, and they're busy professionals and they're not education professionals, and they struggled. And the same even with those of us at Lindamood-Bell that have had children that have struggled, and we try and do it with them. It a lot of times is difficult to kind of separate that parent switch from the skills you might know instructionally for us. And so it must be really just a godsend to have somebody there that can kind of help separate that out and then help meld it back into the family matters as well.
Absolutely. That's something, when I visited your center here in Atlanta, I was so impressed with what I saw there and everything that you do to empower children, and really to see the amazing results that I was able to see. Kind of, wow, look at what happened over a 6-month period with this child. But as I talked with the center director there, we just said, wow, this could be such a huge asset to a family, to have somebody who can be that nucleus, bringing the child to work with, Lindamood-Bell, and be able to carry that through, making the family's life easier. Most families, they really want their child to get this help that they need, but it can be hard to fit all the puzzle pieces together, and having somebody who's 100% dedicated to that child is fantastic.
Yeah.
And so we have a program we've developed called the Individualized Care Program that has really been a huge help to families as well, helping them to identify what they want their caregiver to focus on. And the caregiver often partners with someone like the teacher from Lindamood-Bell to create milestones and goals, usually very kind of small incremental goals that they're working on with the child throughout the year. And so that has been really helpful too, because it creates a communication platform for the teacher, the tutor, the therapist, and the caregiver to all say, hey, what are we all working on together? And we put it all into the plan and we all stay on the same page. So,
well, as we've gotten better at diagnosing and helping, remediate or help grow individuals, it's good to see that there are teams in place. Lots of kids have teams that are really backing them and supporting them. So
yes, that interdisciplinary cooperation we find is really amazing.
And so over the past couple of years, how did the pandemic affect Apex? Was it,
Great question.
Yeah, we had already, I'll just say Lindamood-Bell had pivoted to going beyond experimenting with online learning before that, a few years before that happened. And so it was a fairly easy switch for us for the 9 months to a year that we had to do that. And the school districts did not have such an easy switch overall. How about you?
I was very impressed to hear about your online platform and that you already had that in place. That's fantastic. For us, we had two sides of the coin. The borders were shut on March 13th, and that really impacted our families who were waiting for their caregiver to start, because we had about 7 months where, we weren't able to bring the new caregivers over. So that was a challenge. However, the silver lining was those who already had care in place, it was such a godsend to have that caregiver in the home sitting next to the child on the computer doing school, and being able to provide the one-on-one support to help them navigate what was a really challenging time for children to learn online, especially children who have extra challenges in learning. We had such amazing caregiver stories. One turned their family's whole garage into learning centers and this really interactive, amazing experience for the children to not just sit on the computer, but to put it into practice. And so we were so thankful. Our caregivers were heroes during that time of learning from home primarily. And then it also gave us the opportunity. We actually pivoted and started opening up our program to American caregivers. And so Americans who are early in their career as teachers or therapists can choose now to go, from middle America to live in San Francisco for a year with a family and support them in this way. And so I think it's a great opportunity for Americans in that field to try something different, get out of maybe the classroom or the therapy clinic for a year and engage in a home environment.
So I've been looking at your website, and you've got some great testimonials up there. And for some reason, I'm always drawn to testimonials and profiles. If, with your permission, I'd like to maybe play one here for us to listen to, because I think it really is a really touching thing. And I'll encourage our listeners to then visit the website, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I'd like to play this story for us here.
Sounds great.
I'm Katie Goggin. My husband is Patrick. We have 3 kids, Ben, Jack, and Elizabeth. Ben and Jack are twin boys. They're 3 years old. The boys were born in April of 2012, and everything seemed to be going well. Although very early on, it was obvious because they were twins that Ben was a little different. At about 15 months is when you can make a diagnosis of autism in America, and so we saw a developmental pediatrician, and we had his diagnosis by 18 months. It was really challenging to find somebody who could meet Ben's needs, as well as the needs of what is a very busy household with, at that time, 3 children under 2. So we brought people in and just nobody really seemed like the right fit. And so Bianca and I would say on a day-to-day really function as a team. We kind of divide and conquer.
My relationship to Katie and to the whole family is very good. It's very close, not just Katie and me, but with all the therapists. So when I think there is a problem or when I see something, what's going on with Ben, I just let her know and we talk about the situation and we try to figure out what we could do, how we could help him.
Even the days when Bianca is off and I'm here alone, it just feels kind of crazy. And I'm not as good of a mother because I'm feeling stressed and impatient and, always trying to round people up. Whereas when there's 2 of us to conquer this job, it goes much more smoothly.
I think my role in this family is not to be just an occupational therapist. I think I'm nearly a part of this family.
It's scary when you have a child that can't talk and can't communicate, and you're not there to protect them. And so it's felt really good for us to be able to have somebody in our house that we trust.
Well, that was very, very touching. I hope that came across well. The visual adds something to it for sure, but I think the audio captured a lot of the emotions in that family and the joy and the relief, I think, that it brought to them. Sarah, tell me, how can someone reach Apex Social? What's the best way to contact you all?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'd encourage families to visit our website, which is apex-social.com, and just sign up there for a free consultation. You can sign up for a free consultation or just browse the candidates we have. We recruit and year in advance. And so kind of a good time to start looking is now for whenever you're looking to have care. Can browse candidates or sign up just to talk more with someone.
I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on Lindamood-Bell Radio today. And please look at our postings to find out how to, again, contact you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank you for listening. Learn more about us at lindamoodbell.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are Lindamood-Bell.